Political journalist Alan Ramsey came to Canberra as bureau chief for The Australian in 1966. After 8 Prime Ministers, 43 years, 22 of them as a columnist with the Sydney Morning Herald, he retired. For the first time in a lifetime, he's been watching a campaign from the sidelines. He shared his views on election 2010 with Virginia Hausiger.
A pretty jaundiced one, Virginia, I have to say. I have no real love for the two leaders. I think they're the poorest leaders I've seen, and consequently we've seen the poorest campaigns. It's all been about prejudice. It's been about not a debate about policy. It's been about prejudice, about fear, about those sorts of things, attacking one another, very, very negative campaigns. But once again, by two leaders that I had no real support for. I thought the two leaders that should have been there were Rudd and Turnbull, and that would have been a genuine choice for the voters. I mean, I think Gillard is an accident. And I think Tony Abbott got there when the Liberal Party split. He won. He got the leadership by one vote, 43-42. God knows how it happened, but I would say that if Turnbull had been the leader, there would have been no contest. He would have absolutely given Gillard a bath in this campaign.
Why do you say that Julia Gillard is or was an accident?
Because she replaced Jenny Macklin. Women only get into the leadership when they're in opposition. They don't get brought in. When the blokes go wrong, they bring in the women.
They do.
Yes, they do.
To clean up the mess.
That's right.
But Julia Gillard did take over from Kevin Rudd whilst he was still a sitting Prime Minister.
Absolutely. And Paul Keating took over from Bob Hawke when he was a sitting Prime Minister. And Billy McMahon took over from John Gorton when he was a sitting Prime Minister. Goodness me, it happens. It happens. When the party's in some sort of chaos or disarray, or they think they're going to lose.
Okay. And this is interesting because there has been a lot of talk about the feminisation of politics during this campaign, because it's the first ever campaign we've had where we had a female leader. You don't buy that?
No, I don't. I think, by the way, it's a dreadful word. What do you mean, feminisation? I mean, women in politics reflect the society. And it's always been hard for women in anything. Across the board, journalism, business, whatever you like to call it. Look, when I came here, there were no women in the House, none at all. The first one was elected at the end of that year in Harold Holt's only election as Prime Minister. And there were 4 women in the Senate. Now the number is around 60 of 227. It's almost a quarter of the Parliament. They have built up, and the leadership has just reflected it. They've brought women along, essentially. I still insist, as decoration of the leadership.
As decoration?
As decoration of the leadership.
So you don't buy the fact that with more and more women present in positions of power in politics, that there has been a feminisation of politics?
No, I mean, stop using that word. What do you mean feminisation? It's an appalling word. It's about equal rights. It's about... Look, do you know equal pay came to women in this country when a Labor government got in 1972? It took an awful long time for the community to recognise that women were just as valuable in the workforce as blokes. Right. Now, bit by bit by bit by bit, that has percolated through to the political system. There's only one woman who actually took her party from opposition into government, and that was Claire Martin up in the Northern Territory. The others were brought in at the fag end of governments that were going bad. Anna Bligh, Joan Kerner, Carmen Lawrence and Joan Kerner got turfed out by the voters. They liked the two people, but they weren't going to wear the parties.
But are you suggesting, though, that there is an inherent sexism within politics?
Of course there is.
Within those that control politics?
Absolutely. I mean, the blokes run politics and always have done, and they still run it.
They still continue to.
3 blokes got Julia Gillard into the leadership this time and got rid of Kevin Rudd. And Kevin wasn't strong enough to contest it in the party room. He should have. He should have forced it to a vote, got them to put their bloody hands up, stand up and be counted. And he didn't. He just stepped aside.
The process of political reporting, though, has changed dramatically. The way we report, I mean, just the simple fact of the 24-hour news cycle now, the heavy use of social media, and I know you don't like that, but it's a reality.
Yes.
How has that changed the way we understand politics?
Television. I mean, that's the thing that's changed it. When I came here, there were, as I say, 66, that's 10 years after we got television, there wasn't a single full-time television correspondent. Not one. The print blokes used to do it part-time. The explosion in the electronic media has been enormous. Absolutely enormous. And of course it's changed the way it's
Has it been good for democracy, though?
No, of course it hasn't, because it's trivialised it all. People listen to the radio, but at least they listen. Television, they just look. They don't take in what people are saying. It's all about pictures. Television's about pictures. Good pictures, good-looking people, happy people, good pictures. It's not about listening. It's not about absorbing what people are saying. It's how they look and what they look like.
Who would you say currently is among the best political communicators? Not commentators, but communicators.
Communicators. Oh, Kerry O'Brien is certainly amongst the best.
Are you just saying that because this is the ABC?
No. He's the best interviewer. I mean, and that's why